Hey there, I'm Anthony Romano, and this is going to be a really fun video because it was my birthday last week, and that means that it is officially 9 years that I've been using ketogenic dieting, and basically for the better part of my life. So
I haven't had a carb since 2004. Check these out. See these? See these boys? This is what I live with every day. I lather this up with Kiehl's in the shower. You want to touch this shit? No. You want to touch?
90% of every year I've been using keto, and there's some years where I'll go 2 years in a row straight keto, and then there was other times where I would do plenty of carb inclusion tactics, other things like that, because I like to make things very experimental, because one of my goals is to be the best source on keto diets in terms of communicating it, in terms of my knowledge of it, my ability to help people with these tactics, because keto is a tool, okay? It doesn't have to be this sort of, ironically enough, even though I've been doing this for 9 years, it's not something I look at as dogma or some sort of, lifestyle you need to do. Keto is a tool for you, and I'm going to tell you in this video all about my experience, my transformation, the health benefits, the other benefits on other parts of my lifestyle that you might be able to use for yourself. And I'm also going to have some other fun bits in here about other experiences and funny things that have happened in relation to this 9-year milestone. Okay, so let's get into it. And before you do, like the video, subscribe to me right now, and follow my Instagram. Thank you. So, like I said, 9 years on keto after I turned 24 last week, and a good little, gift to commemorate this milestone was one that my buddy Sam got me, which is, it's literally this, okay, so I'll explain this in a second here, but this is probably one of the most memorable gifts I've ever received. But, thank you, Sam. But, some of you might know Sam from my other videos. But, essentially, what this is Ketonus. Ketonus, the Roman god of ketones. Okay, I'll explain this story. Basically, it's a nice frame too. But basically, my friends and I were joking around, and when you're messing around with your buddies, certain nicknames come around, and my buddy started calling me Ketonus. Some of my friends started saying Ketonus just because it sounds funny. And the funny backstory to that is after a certain point, I was like, hey, this sounds like a Greek god or a Roman god of ketones or something ridiculous like that. So I started making a joke that, whenever somebody comes to my house and I have a statue of a Roman god or a Greek god, and it's made by Michelangelo sort of aesthetic, and except it's just my face on the statue. So that was a joke, and eventually my buddy Sam for my birthday got me this, and it's basically just the perfect way to commemorate this milestone. So I had to show it for a video, because if I ever have a video, how obnoxious would it look if I had this hanging in the background, right? And I didn't explain it. So basically, we were joking around how in movies, you go to somebody's house and they just have so much self-aggrandizing, art hanging up.
That is a really interesting painting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's me taking the bull by the horns. That's how I handle my business. It's a metaphor.
I get it.
But that actually happened, though.
So these are ancient Greek statues?
Yes, of course.
I was thinking that their faces kind of look like yours.
Maybe you're right.
It's uncanny.
Yeah.
It's uncanny.
Very, very handsome.
Have you
Yeah. That's crazy.
And they're just trying to draw attention to themselves. So we turned that into a joke, and now I have Ketonus hanging up on a picture frame. But so that was one funny little bit there. But so I guess I'll start off with the other benefits now, and a lot of the stuff that I've noticed over these 9 years. And I'll start off with the stuff that everybody knows about already, like the fat loss benefits, the shredding down, all the bodybuilding oriented stuff people know about. But over those 9 years, I've dedicated myself to learning about building muscle on keto, maintaining keto year round, optimizing the mental performance, optimizing certain other health facets like digestion, things of that nature. And essentially there's a lot of other things that I've tried to nail down for my lifestyle. And people don't know that keto has those powers. It doesn't know that it has the ability to make your skin a lot clearer, reduce acne. Like if you watch my old videos, I don't get acne that much. I mean, with longer hair, it's a little bit harder. But the thing is, there's a lot of other benefits that people don't know keto can be a fix to. And digestive issues, seen it a million times. A lot of people have sensitivities to certain foods. Cutting them out can also play a role in that. So there's a lot of other individual nuances that you might experience for yourself. But at the end of the day, the most common ones you know about are not the only ones. It's not only a fat loss tool, there's a load of health benefits. And that's partly and mostly why I've stuck with it. Because at the end of the day, I want you to know keto is a tool. People, like I said, they like to dogmatize it and say that it's the only way and carbs are the devil and all that stuff. That's not the case. There's ways to integrate this into your lifestyle and make it something that is working for you, that you're not working for. So let's get back into my little notes here. So I'm going to show my transformation pictures as well. I'm going to have those popping up here and there throughout the video, but I'm not going to get to that quite yet. What I am going to get into is that as far as training goes, there are massive performance benefits. There's a higher ability for your body to uptake and use oxygen. There's a much better ability for your body to perform in a low blood sugar environment, which is basically the entire reason why you get tired when you're doing any sort of athletic activity. It's mostly because of blood sugar drops. And keto has not only extended my training capacity, but it's also allowed me to increase my frequency. So there will be times where, of course, it wasn't like this the first month I ever did keto when I was like 14 or whatever. Basically, this comes with time, and I had to work out these kinks, and there's a learning curve. And part of the reason my videos are up here is to help people get past that learning curve. But even if you don't want to go through my free videos, hit me up or eventually wait for my programs to drop. But the ability to train longer and more frequently is something that absolutely is a benefit of keto, because not only do you have those benefits right there with the oxygen capacity and the blood sugar stabilization and the ability to perform in low blood sugar environments better, which is very well documented. I have other videos on this stuff. This video is about me self-aggrandizing myself, so it's not about me throwing up all the research studies yet. But the thing is, there's also links to keto being either indirectly or directly anti-inflammatory in the body. And this is partly because you're I can't say the exact reason, whether it's because there's lower amounts of sugar in the blood, it's more optimized. I could say because doctors don't know yet, scientists don't know yet if ketones themselves are directly anti-inflammatory, but we know that there is a anti-inflammatory effect. It could be from the lowered chronic elevated insulin, it could be from things like that. So overall, you will notice better recovery in a lot of ways when you are on a sort of ketogenic regime. You will also notice that there's less joint irritation, there's less other inflammatory compounds getting into your body, because a lot of the foods that keto cuts out are inherently inflammatory. So example, a lot of people have a sensitivity to gluten, right? When you're on a ketogenic diet, you are cutting out all wheat proteins in general, so you're not going to get gluten or any other thing that you might have a sensitivity to, and I encourage you to look into that. You're avoiding a lot of problems just by the very nature of what keto excludes. And on top of that, you're also mixing protein and carbs a lot less frequently in the same meal. And not a lot of people know that they have a contradicting gut environment effect, because proteins require an acid to be broken down and carbs require a more alkaline gut environment. So mixing the two often causes bloating, gas, a lot of problems. And I mean, you could think back to an example in your own life for that. But the main point is here, I'm just riffing on a bunch of the random benefits that I've experienced over these years, because I have videos dedicated to those topics entirely on their own. But the main point here is that there's a load of benefits I've experienced, and these were things that I didn't even really have the conscious awareness were problems in my lifestyle until I had the hindsight bias, where I was able to look back and say, yeah, I can basically get up, and if I don't eat food, I can still get work done. I'm not reliant on food. There's that riddance of dependence on food altogether to get through your day. And that's another reason why I don't truly believe you can be as optimized in terms of your lifestyle and athletic performance if you don't have the ability to access fat metabolism. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be ketogenic all the way through all the time. It simply means that you have to be able to access that state to get the most balanced effect on your life, at least, okay? So that's another little takeaway for you to kind of dive down the rabbit hole deeper into. But I'll get into my transformation style pictures at this point. I don't know which ones I'm going to throw up yet, but I'm going to throw up a bunch of them. I have some from when I was 14. I have some from when I was younger, maybe 13. I was a really skinny kid, and one thing too was I was low in iron, so that's why I was very skinny, had a very hard time putting on mass, which is why I have another video on how, basically raising your iron is raising your ability to build blood, and it's very critical for building muscle mass. And of course, you're going to notice benefits everywhere in your lifestyle by raising iron, and that's, I'm simplifying things here, because basically you want to raise your ability to oxygenate your blood. And for a lot of people, I don't know you as an individual, or maybe I do, but maybe I just don't know who is watching this. But the thing is, I can't tell you how to fix a certain problem, but if you have low iron, it's going to be a lot harder to fix that problem. So, and I work on this with clients as well. This is something very frequent. Lots of people, you cannot fix an issue if you have low iron. And because when I was younger, I heavily focused on very animal product focused keto dieting, that was also an area, and especially because I tried to get into better quality meats and animal products, which is something I do exclusively now. But the thing is, at the time, I also had happened to put more of an emphasis on those foods and boost my iron, which happened to have a cascading effect on other health ailments I was trying to fix at the time. Back to the animal product type stuff, keto doesn't have to be fully animal-based style eating. Okay, I've worked with plenty of vegetarians, plenty of plant-based people, a couple of vegans, but don't really do that too much anymore. But I've worked with people of all sorts because there's not only one way to do keto. And that's the reason why I have so many freaking videos, because there's not only one way to do keto, and I'm trying to teach you the foundational principles of them so you can figure out how you want to do it. But the only thing you need for keto to work is to cut out carbohydrates. Now, granted, it will run a lot smoother if you have a higher presence of fats in the beginning. If you're, trying to get adapted, you would obviously want to focus more on the fats. Certain vitamins and minerals are only capable of being consumed through some animal foods, but there are some ways to work around it, which is why I've had a great time working with vegetarians, because they can get a lot of those things from eggs, dairy products. There's certain fish as well. There's lots of other ways around, but just know that in the back of your head. There are some ways to optimize things with animal products here and there, but at the same time, keto doesn't necessarily entail those foods. It simply is one way to do keto, because keto, technically, if you don't eat anything for a week, that's a ketogenic diet. So that's probably the most, I guess, environmentally conscious way to do a diet, is just fast completely forever, and you'll have a very low carbon footprint that way. But that's the main thing. All you have to do is not eat carbs. So there's plenty of ways to start. You can start by doing extended fasting. You can start by doing intermittent fasting as well, but you're not going to get too deep into keto territory there. But at the end of the day, what you're going to want to do is try this out. Be open-minded, okay? And I know I'm maybe biased because I've been doing this for 9 years, but I almost feel like that's not a bias, because the very fact that I've done it for 9 years implies that I've pushed through times where it wasn't working well, and I've tried other alternatives as well. I've experimented with plenty of other diets and realized that they don't work as well as ketogenic dieting does in some way, shape, or form. That's what I'm saying. Fat metabolism is something you want to have access to almost year-round at any point you wish. That is, the foundational principle here. So, as far as trying this out, keto is a tool for you. It's absolutely something that you should start messing around with, and there's ways to incorporate carbs from there. I have videos on those things. There's ways to incorporate your lifestyle. There's ways to balance it out. And I guess the point I probably should have hit as well here is that in my other videos I explain how, if you think of humanity's evolution, in a primal winter, it is very difficult to get carbohydrates. Okay, of course, some areas of the world didn't have that limitation as much, but our evolution was, at least 50% of the year, was not heavily focused on carbohydrates because they weren't there. There'd be a lot of fasting going on, a lot of hunting. That's what humans would do. And it is, I believe, our metabolism is seasonal, just like everything else in the world. Day, night, summer, winter, all those things. Everything is sort of seasonal in that way. And I believe our metabolism is seasonal as well. There's a time for reaping, there's a time for sowing, and keto is simply the body's homeostatic response to lowering hunger hormones, resetting everything so that you aren't hungry, and so that dieting can work easily. That is essentially why keto works the way it does during a primal winter thousands of years ago, when you couldn't ship mangoes over from Mexico where they're actually in season. So that's essentially another reason why I stick to keto year round. And that's another reason why it can benefit you in terms of the long term and the macro overview of your lifestyle, and why it may be optimal to start integrating it into your life. So on that note, like I said, there's many ways to do a keto diet. You can do it vegetarian, you can do it a lot of ways. And all that simply matters is that you're cutting out carbs for periods of time. And on that note, I've actively tried to do every kind of keto diet over these 9 years. I've done vegetarian keto diets, and I frequently do them for a couple weeks on end, and then I'll do a more carnivorous style keto diet. And I've pushed these all to the brink. I've done a lot of funky stuff. I've done the raw stuff. I've done lots of funky variations of keto diets over these 9 years because, like I said, my goal is to be the best source on this information out there and have some of the most experience out there. Now, granted, that's not to take away from some of the other people who have lots of experience, and I respect them for that, and I learn from them. And I try to consume their books, and I buy their books, and I, listen to a lot of their information, because I try to figure out what's accurate and nail this down to the finest degree it can be. And that's again why I've tried so many different variations, and I've tried every single macro scheme you can think of. I've tried every single variation of carb cycling. I've tried every single variation of keto you can think of, because I work with people on those things, and it has allowed me to work with people on those things. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Okay, it was a more personal video. And I guess if I really want to jump more into my transformation, I'll probably make a separate video on that. But this one is on the transformation from, starting out to now. Obviously my physique has changed. I've built muscle through that time. I've cut down multiple times. I've done dirty carb bulks for some of the months that I was off of keto during those years. And I'm never doing them again, by the way, so watch my videos on those. And overall, I have really learned a lot about optimizing health, and I try to narrow that down in my videos. So if you want to learn more about those things, watch my videos, share this one as well, and any way I can help you, let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you. And if you're, you can always watch these videos for free, but if you do want to reach out and have somebody to work with, keep you accountable, who has seen every scenario possible personally and with other people, reach out to me on my website, romanoketo.com. And, stay tuned for programs coming out, other merchandise and whatnot. And thank you again. All right, Anthony Romano, peace.